Welcome to this Aztlander presentation, Iconography of Cosmology of Early Classic and Late Classic Maya World View, Skyband above, Earthband below, and Surface of the Underwater World Band with Dr. Nicholas Hellmuth.
Okay, there are about 8 chapters, and we're going to start off with Skyband. So first of all, this is a Skyband that none of you have seen. Okay, it's never been published. This Skyband is, I can see people looking at it like they've never seen it before, and that's correct. This Skyband is inside the Castillo Bowl. The Castillo Bowl is about that big around, so it's so big I could put my camera inside the bowl and do a digital. This is a digital rollout. This is a Hellmuth, not a curve rollout. This is a digital rollout, and up at the top there's the whole Skyband, and then the next 3 things are the A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. So again, for those of you who are studying Skybands, you can come help yourself to some of this material, because that's a pretty incredible Skyband. Now, obviously, most Skybands, they repeat. In other words, you don't get 80 individual different things. You get 1, 2, 3, then it goes back and repeats it. But that's a pretty incredible Skyband. Then, of course, the most well-known Skyband, one of the well-known Skybands at Copan. A nice drawing by Barbara Fash. And there's the guy holding the kind of the scorpion aspect of it. So again, that's pretty well known. Then, so the most Skybands you see are on plates. And I show these 2. I have the dozens of them. We have in-house illustrators, Luis Molina. He does these drawings. And I selected these 2 plates because there's nothing in the center. If there was something in the center, it would distract from the Skyband. So again, here's Skybands. Our long-range goal, obviously, as a separate project, is to show Skyband, 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 Skyband. This is Tikal. This is burial 116 under Temple 1. And you see the Skyband running up and down here, and the Skyband running up and down here. So if it's a plate, it's going to be circular. If it's a vase, it's going to be vertical or horizontal for the Skyband. Now, where you really get Skybands is Palenque. You get them on the houses. Here you have the Skyband up at the top. Now, obviously, since this is stucco, it's not all. It's partially damaged. And then, of course, on the sarcophagus, so you get more Skybands at Palenque. They're all over the place. Now, the Skybands that have been mostly studied by the archaeoastronomers is the one at Chichen Itza and the one at Uxmal. Here's a Skyband at Palenque. This is a cosmic monster. It's inside out. Normally, the crocodile deer would be at the left. The starry-eyed deer would normally be at the left. And the quadripartite badge would be at the right, but it can be either way. So again, here's the cosmic monster, bicephalic, meaning 2 heads. And there's your Skyband up there. So Palenque has more Skybands than almost anywhere else. Now, there are what I call Skyband houses or Skyband huts. These are ritual huts erected for ceremonies. In other words, these are not stone sculptures, stone structures. The Maya did ceremonies. The Maya did theater. The king had to show off. He had to act. He had to pretend to be and pretend to do various things. And while he's doing that, he's climbing up. The throne is up at the top. The king's they wrote it up at the top. But this is a stairway. So these are steps. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. This is a Skyband. This is a Skyband. This is so the Skyband down here, Skyband here, Skyband here. But between the sky band is another band. And these are the bands that, to my knowledge, have not been studied. So this band here, we're going to show a lot of those tonight. And they're the ones that I hope Carl Calloway and others, scholars, will grab them and have their students decide. But it helps to know where they are. So again, these throne room, so you climb up this, you climb up the stairway, you sit on the throne, and then on both sides of you is skyband, skyband columns. Then above is a principal bird deity, usually perched on top of a of the temporary hut. We're going to try to do some architectural drawings of these because museums need to reconstruct these and show them to the people. Okay, that's skyband. Let's look at the cloud bands. Cloud bands are best known for the So here's your cloud symbol. You get it in the Olmec, you get it as a hieroglyph, and you get it in the codices. Here you get it as a cloud. And here you get it at Copan in Temple 22. I'm working a lot at Copan. I'm taking all the photographs that I've taken at Copan over the last 30 years, and we're preparing a whole series of reports. So there's your cloud. So here it is with all filled up. And here it is empty. Here's some more clouds. Here's a single cloud symbol. These are corkscrews. These are different. So here's your cloud symbol here. Cloud. And the idea is the band, to show what are in bands. Sometimes they're vertical, sometimes they're horizontal, sometimes they're stepped, but here is a very rare cloud band. Here's the actual vase as a curve rollout. You can see it up here. So the Muyal is, it's known, but it's not really been separated out like this before. The bibliography. Okay, now let's go to witch bands. Since I'm old-fashioned, I call them Kawak monsters, but modern people call them witch. It means stone mountain. So here is a witch, and you can see it's facing left, facing right, and facing front. Probably face the other side too. Here it is at Palenque. Here it is at the left. So these often do occur in a row. So here's kind of a stack of wits, Kawak monsters. So most Kawak monsters are vertical, but they can also be horizontal. These are all well known at Copan. And again, the Kawak monster or the wits is usually vertical, but I still consider it a band. There are 3 of these vases now. There's the vase of the 11 gods, and you can see the stack of Kawak monsters. There's a vase of 7, and there's a new one in the National Museum. There's a brand new one. So here they are horizontal. Here they are vertical. And the other side of the altar, this altar was looted. It's in the Museo Amparo. And the looters didn't take this part. So this part here would be identical to this. But notice again, this is horizontal. So again, witch monster, witch monster, witch monster. Here's somebody carrying a witch monster. These are the symbols. Very important. And again, this is Copan Temple 22. And there's your witch monster. So you have the sky above, the sky band. You have your cloud band. Then you come down, you get the mountain, the witch, the stone mountain. And we're going to go find all the other bands as well. This is one of the best drawings available, and it shows, again, these are stone thrones, stone mountains. And we have a report on this sculpture. We published this about 2-3 months ago. And here are our photographs of it. Again, we're publishing about 15 reports on Copan. We have 2 of them coming out on Wednesday. The ball game one's coming out on Wednesday. And we're going to report almost every 2 or 3 weeks. We're coming out with a new report on Copan. Because we want to get all of our, we've photographed so much there. We want to get all that available. And again, all of these photographs for any professor or any student, you can just grab these photographs and use them. Here's a sky band, and here's kind of a earth band down here. Here's a Kawak monster. All kinds of stuff here. I mean, there's just endless symbolism here. Yeah, unfortunately, so many of the drawings that are published, the quality is so low. We're trying to work on trying to figure out how to get better quality drawings. But this is a frontal Kawak monster. So Kawak monsters, witch monsters, they're all very important. Here you see the sky band. This is a reconstruction, but shows the sky band and then the witch mountain of stone below. Here's the actual thing. Now, Bonaparte is interesting. Much to my surprise, the Instituto Nacional de Antropología y Historia of Mexico took me to Bonaparte in 1962. I was in a restaurant in Tabasco, and I heard people talking about Bonaparte, and I ran over to their table and said, well, I wrote my high school thesis on the Maya, but I had only been to Palenque, and my high school thesis got me into Harvard, but I'd never been to Bonaparte. Could they take me? And they put me in the airplane and flew me into the Lacandon area. And I spent a week at Bonaparte when I was 17 years old. So that's called beginner's luck. Then later, this photograph is probably from 1994. I had an ENA permit to go back to Bonaparte and do photography there. So there's a lot more at Bonaparte than just the incredible murals. Here's Bonaparte Stela 1, so that's the actual drawing. Now notice that these faces are often turned, so you see them profile, frontal, and half. And each one's a little bit different. But if you are like a workaholic like I am, you can begin to notice all these different angles. Now here the Kawak monster, this is a Berlin cylindrical tripod. We're going to mention this again. This is a band here. This is a band of rope. So they tied up. This is the dead ruler, the dead king. And he's been tied up. We're going to talk about those later. So again, here are the different scenes. So Kawak monsters, Kawak monsters, Kawak monsters, Kawak monster, Kawak monster, Kawak monster, Kawak monster. And here they come in a band. So this is Tikal altar 4. It has God N. This is God N coming out here. He's coming out of the 4-part entrance to the underworld, the cave entrance. This is a famous Olmec symbol. And God N is in a turtle. Cowlick monster, cowlick monster, cowlick monster, cowlick monster. But again, if you call it a witz, it's stone, and that's why these pillars hold up Piedras Negras altar 4. So again, stone upholds stone. And in essence, these come in a row. So they're a band. So this is part of the cosmogram. So here's the actual throne. And so these witz stones are upholding the altar stone. So this is the cosmogram. And there, forget the red thing, that was in the drawing when I did it. He's scattering. Here's the bag out of which he's taking the incense, the palm incense. And here's your witz throne. Okay, so here's your stone throne. Here's an incense burner on top. He should be putting that in here. Now, by the way, one of the publications we're coming out with on Wednesday is on Maya beards. Do the Maya have beards? Do the Maya have facial hair? Does the Maya have mustaches? Beards? Well, you'll see that on Wednesday. Because this guy's got a mustache here. And again, here's a stone throne. This is a drawing from FLAAR. Notice the deer carrying the monkey. That's a separate aspect. Many monkeys have deer ears, not this guy here, but many monkeys wear a deer ear and deer antlers. And many deer are associated with monkeys. So monkeys are associated with deer, and deer are associated with the two are together very, very frequently. And often it's God D, Itzamna, that is the deity in front of lots of animals. This we saw before. Now here's an actual witz band. There, the witz as an actual band is rare. Notice that we have here the witz. Here it is in better quality vision. Okay, and here it is with a sky band above. So the king who's sitting here is up on the sky band throne, and then this is the witz band. So witz can be an actual band, rare, but so witz is well known. Cowlick is well known, but the fact that it's a band, I don't think is quite as well known. And again, I put the sky band, the Muyo cloud band, then witz is kind of like the mountain, and then we're going to see some other bands below. Okay, so Kaban, corkscrew, sperm. Some of this stuff looks like sperm. Repeated motifs and bands. This is a digital rollout. We had digital rollout cameras for many, many years. We have lots and lots of rollouts. We're trying to publish them all and get them out. The advantage of a digital rollout is the quality is 1,000 times better than a non-digital rollout. They're much, much higher quality. And you don't have to scan them because they're already digital. Now here, we're talking about the Kaban, the earth band. Down here below, curiously, here's the Kaban. Here's the Kaban. But in between is a sky band. So this is the loincloth apron face. Here it is up at the top. This is from the sky band. This is from the sky band. This is from the sky band. It's the loincloth apron face. It's one of the most common things in the sky bands of Palenque. And yet, so here it's mixed together. Why, we don't know. This would be a good question for Carl Calloway and other scholars. Here's the pure Kaban with no mixture of the sky. This is well known, well published by some from the sarcophagus. Again, so Kaban is the earth band. Then you get the squiggle. I call it a corkscrew in the ear. That's a deer ear. That's a wearing a sombrero. Deer hunter. Again, these ears, all these ears have the squiggle, have the corkscrew. Here you have the corkscrew all over the place. Lots of wine bottles to open here. Corkscrew, corkscrew, corkscrew. We saw this earlier. Here's the mule.
Oh, no.
Wheel,
Kitty cat.
loud.
I don't want you up there.
So again, here, the ear, over and over again, the ear have this corkscrew. Dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens, and in Robotech and Hales, they have the corkscrew. Almost every animal has it. Now again, here you have the monkey with the deer antlers and the deer ear. And then you will often have the deer with a monkey tail. The relationship of monkeys and deer definitely needs to be studied. And here you have it, the corkscrew motif associated with honey. Again, your corkscrew. Here's your sky band. Then your corkscrew down here. It can be in many different wiggly wobbly ways. Here it is here. This could also looks more like a cut through of a conch shell. But again, here's your squiggle, your corkscrew. Now the question, of course, is, are all these corkscrews the same design? Here's what I call a tadpole. So I'm not saying that every corkscrew has the same meaning. Here again, kind of more like a witch monster here. Sperm or stylized tadpoles. I mean, there are plenty of frogs and toads out there, so the Maya would have known what a tadpole was. Here you go, swimming sperm. Now, some of these are disembodied eyes. That's a whole nother question. Disembodied eye is a completely separate thing. So here's the eroded plate. This is a drawing, obviously based on digitally, we can look inside these illustrations and see a lot more detail than you can see. So he's got his crossbones. We're going to see a whole bunch of stuff on crossbones later on this evening. So crossbones, we're going to assume these are the disembodied eyes. Here's the disembodied eye. There in the background, you've got crossbones. We're going to see a lot of crossbones at Uxmal in just a few minutes. And here's your squiggle. So again, the question is, are these tadpoles? Is this a disembodied eye? There's a lot to study. That's why I want to show all these so that scholars can have their students do term papers and do a thesis on each one of these. As promised, skull and crossbones. These are drawings by Ian Graham. You know, he usually did stela and altars, but there are probably over 100 of these things in Uxmal. Now, here you have frontal skulls. And then you have what I call cross bones, but then you have the squiggles here, you see. And again, that raises the question, are these the disembodied eyes? There are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of these. And again, the skull is obvious. The cross bones are obvious. But what are these, you see? Are these disembodied eyes or are these other symbols? Here again, cross bones. One design, cross bones, another design, another manner. And then you have these. So I will leave it completely open as to what these are, and I will leave it open as to whether or not they are related to some of the other ones that we've talked about. This particular artist must have taken a little bit too much pulque. He did his head upside down. And again, here you have your cross bones, and you have the little tiny little squiggles. So, for example, are these small versions of this? Are these small versions of this? That needs to be studied and decisions made. But notice how many of these. I mean, this is just endless. And here you get some other designs. Okay, here you get your cross bones, but you kind of get more of almost like a skyband symbol here. And by the way, the skybands we showed, I've worked on skybands for about 6 or 7 months, and there are hundreds of them. And there are some skybands that are completely unknown in the sense that they show aspects that we're not familiar with. So when I talk about this being similar to a skyband, there are some TEPU 3 terminal classic skybands that are very, very unique. So again, this is all from Uxmal. And again, here you have the crossbones this way. Here you have the crossbones this way with your other symbol, kind of almost like a skyband symbol in the middle. Over and over. Now, you also get the same at the site of No Pot. And there are also at Sayil and Labna, there are similar ones. In other words, these are not all, Uxmal has the biggest one, but you do get them at neighboring sites. And notice again here, the one head is upside down. These are more likely look like the disembodied eyes. But is this a big disembodied eye? That's your question. Now here you get them at Copan, a little bit different. You know, we know the Zompantli from the Aztec capital and from Chichen Itza. We'll look at that in just a minute. But you also get a lot of skull relics from Copan. This is Copan, for example. And these are not very well known for Copan. Here, I gathered them together. The advantage of, I have 33 people working for me. About 5 or 6 of them do the books for children, the Mayan Tunes books. And so we have teams. We have teams that do plants. We have teams that do animals. We have teams that help me with iconography. And the iconography team is about 5 people. So when I have all these designs, it helps to pull them out and put them in a single image here so you can see all the examples. So we'll go through this pretty quickly here. This is it's a photograph of mine of the actual Uxmal. I spent 30 or 50 years photographing in the Pucchenes and Riobec area. And we're in the process now of scanning. We have 3 people in the office who are scanning stuff to try to make, we want to make our stuff available to everybody so that everybody can use it. So here's some more, again, gathering together the different designs. So you notice they're similar, but they're different. Similar, but different. So this goes like this, and this goes zigzag. And here you get it on some ceramics. Inga Calvin's done a lot of great work, and definitely deserves more attention. I don't know whether she's attending the lecture tonight, but she's has a lot of stuff. Here, no, again, here are your crossbones. Here again, this is a one of my digital rollouts. This is probably God D, would be my estimated. It's God D sitting on the throne here. Normally, God D has animals in front, but here he has some people coming up saying hello to him. So here are your crossbones, 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 skull, crossbones, skull. This is a drawing, one of the drawing of our artists from the 1970s and 1980s. By the way, a lot of these drawings are in the Kerr rollout catalog, but they're not based on Kerr rollouts at all. So again, there are about 20 or 30 drawings, but they should not be cited as Kerr rollouts because they're not based on his at all. He simply borrowed them and put them in his archive, which is fine. But these should be cited to FLAAR. And should not use a Kerr number because they're not Kerr. They're rollout drawings from FLAAR. And again, you see the guy sitting on the throne, and your monkey has a deer ear, and the monkey has deer antlers. Again, your Batman. This is from the Museo Popol Vuh. He's got his crossbones. But again, the question, are these disembodied eyes or not? Because they don't have the squiggle on them. So again, a lot of open questions. So again, skull rack at Copan, skull rack at Chichen Itza. That's, of course, the best known one. This is one at Chichen Itza. But let's not forget the skull rack at Copan. So again, I've mentioned Copan frequently because that site has so much. I mean, it's all kind of, oh, we know Copan, let's go somewhere else. No. So I'm focusing on rescuing a lot of what's at Copan that deserves to be put back on the iconographic map, shall we say. Okay, now here we go into twisted vines, twisted serpents, bands, horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. Here's going to be a lot of stuff. So here we get diagonal. So here's the band. And is this a snake? Is this a rope? Or is this a twisted vine? Those are the questions. Here we go. So here is the actual thing. And what we're going to find out is it can be all three. We're going to see twisted ropes. We're going to see twisted vines. And we're going to see twisted snakes. Now here you see that the twisted vine has these sharp things coming out. And has stylized like a cross section of other flowers and other parts of plants. Over here you have your, we're going to assume those are disembodied eyes. Assume, not. So again, here's your twisted, the sharp things coming out here. And this is like a cross section of a flower or a plant. I call this the whole orange color. These are water birds, very common in whole style ceramics. So again, you notice you get this over and over again. You get the twisted band. You get your little kind of triangular thing sticking out over here. So this design here is from up here. And again, this is also a digital rollout. So we're trying to get, we don't have 8,000 digital rollouts because we didn't do that type of photography. We photographed what we found that was available, but we do have hundreds of rollouts. And again, most of these rollouts have never been seen, so we want to get this information out there. Here again, 4 different bands very similar to each other. And I'm just calling these twisted. So here we have the twisted vine. And what this thing over here is, it looks like a flower on steroids. And I have no idea. And again, that's the purpose of this lecture, is to show things so that all the scholars can learn from it. And then later on, we hope the scholars will let their students look at this in the video, and then we can have more information. So here you have the band here. There we go. So I like to take stuff out. The beautiful part of digital is you can take a rollout drawing, you can take a scene, and you can pull out different aspects. So here you pull out this part. This part here looks like a cut through of a water lily flower, but it could be another flower. So here we put it horizontal. And again, this, and this are a cross section of a flower, possibly a water lily, but I won't swear that that's absolutely, but it's definitely a cross section of a flower. Here you get your band in a circle. This is the best way to photograph a plate. You got your Macbeth color chart. You got your centimeter measurement, but these stands are very heavy and they're very difficult to move around. Here's a drawing. Again, the band. But I'm calling these twisted band because until you know whether it is a rope or a snake or a physical plant part, it's best just to call it a twisted band. Here it's a rope. We saw this before. So here's the ruler. Here's his eye, nose, mouth. And he's tied up in a bundle. Here's feet sticking out. So he's packaged, ready to take off to the tomb. Now, here are the new, unseen, undocumented twisted bands. Here it goes. This is in the Museo Popol Vuh. The Museo Popol Vuh allowed me to have a studio in their photography studio in their museum for many, many years. So we've done a lot of rollouts there. Here you can see, I'm assuming these are plant parts. Again, if you're a Maya eating and drinking and injecting as an enema what they did, no surprise that these designs look this strange shape. So here they are again. I'm estimating these are vines. These are plants. And again, none of these have been seen before. Here you get them. Again, every artist has to fill the ceramic, he's assigned to produce stuff. So every artist is going to do it a little bit differently. And here's why I call it a vine. As you mentioned, as Jim mentioned at the introduction, we do a lot on plants and animals. We have plant and animal. We have a 5-year project with CUNUP, and we're continuing with that. And so we study every vine, every flower, trying to find out what's out there that we need to show that's in Mayan art. Here's a very nice band, a nice primary standard sequence up above, nice glyphs up above. And here's your band with a 4-petaled flower. So again, that's why I'm calling this a vine, because all of this to me looks like plant parts, rather obviously plant parts. And here's just a miscellaneous decoration. That could be any type of could be a snake pattern, could be almost anything. It's basically a design. Now, here's the subject of snakes. Now, what's interesting about these particular snakes, and again, this is a digital rollout by FLAAR Photo Archive, is that they don't show the underbelly parts. They show the snake, but they don't show the scale pattern of the bottom of the snake. So here you go. So then you get twisted snake, twisted vine, or twisted rope. I'd call this a rope. So again, you can have a twisted rope, a twisted vine, or a twisted snake. This is the altar that's at the bottom of the hieroglyphic stairway at Copan. And you can see it's got the twisted. And they could be your intestines as well. And here you have just a basic design. Probably serpent. Here you get it on steroids. So for professors, scholars, archaeologists, epigraphers, this particular creature, here's the eye, here's the mouth and the teeth, here's the earring, here's the body. Got 4 legs. Here, one set of legs, another set of legs. So this creature is, let's put it this way, they're coming out his tail end. So what in the world is going on here? This is the most amazing twisted. You've got one set up here. You've got one set down there. So again, this creature, whatever type of a composite monster it is emitting this out at tail end. And these rollouts are courtesy of Inga Calvin. I thank Inga Calvin very much for that. So this is her, well, it's a Kerr rollout, but it's a rollout taken by Kerr for her. So it's not in the Kerr database, probably. And then here is a similar painting by the same school, the same people that produced this also produced this one. And this is a digital rollout. This is my digital rollout. Here you get just the head. You get the head here and the head here. and you get all the scrolls coming out. So again, what in the world is going on here definitely needs to be studied. Okay, the surface of the underwater world is down at the bottom. Sky above, earth band below. We get the sky band, the Muyul band, Witz band, earth band, and surface of the underwater world band. The surface of the underwater world was my PhD dissertation. In 1986, I worked about 10 years going to museums around the world looking for ceramics that I could understand better what was going on. And these are some examples from early classic. These are Zuccoul ceramics. Same period as the cylindrical tripods, but often you don't get a cylindrical tripod, you get a bowl. Or these could be look more like a TPU-1 bowl size here. So again, this is the surface of the underwater world. And again, this is in my PhD dissertation. There are 727 illustrations in the German edition and hundreds in the English edition. And here is, again, the surface of the underwater world. So it can be circular, it can be flat. Again, obviously, if it's on a plate, it's going to be circular. If it's on a bowl or a vase, it's going to be horizontal. Now, one thing I'd also like to point out is that the archaeological standards for drawing a ceramic do not help iconography whatsoever. So the color symbolism, in other words, if you're an archaeologist, you have to draw your drawing a certain way. I recommend either continue that, but draw it a separate way too, or forget the archaeological way and do it iconographically. Because the problem is that archaeological reports, for example, the Tikal ceramic report has nothing on iconography. The Washington report by Robert Smith does. And I understand that because if you're a ceramic archaeologist, you're not into iconography and you don't have time and you got to get the stuff out and you got to get your peer-reviewed journals and all that kind of stuff. I fully understand that. But again, I suggest politely that the rules for what type of angles of lines to show different colors for an archaeologist and a ceramicist are totally inappropriate for iconography. So when we do our drawings that we see at show at the left, the purpose of our drawing is to see the scene. I mean, the Maya are doing a scene. So please let's consider opening that up and improving ceramic drawings, please. Again, this is the surface of the underwater world. There are a lot of monsters wandering around there. A lot of water birds. But this undulating part, and all this up here and all this down there, that's the surface of the underwater world. And you have the bird here, and you have the monster face over here. So again, this is the surface of the underwater world. Here it is down here. A lot going on here. You have a cosmic monster. Here's the front of the cosmic monster. Here's the tail end of the cosmic monster. The cosmic monster kind of goes around back up here. And then here you have the surface of the underwater world here. Here you have the surface of the underwater world all the way around. This is from the Met Museum. Very nice photographs from the Met Museum. I'm getting pretty much towards the end here, and I wanted to show you what I call spaghetti, a whole mold answer. So you get You get a kind of a woven pup here. You get your sky band here. You get a sky band up here. You get here's some more pulp down here. So if you want to study bands, Homo Danzer has bands all over the place. Okay, we have lots more here, bands, and this is very well known, very well published. Here you have bands below. So again, there are a lot more bands to study. And down below here at on the Tikal lintels, you have these bands, not very well preserved, but again, they all need to be studied. Here you have a band. The band here goes around, but I would not call this a sky band. Separate band. And then here's another band up here. It's kind of a mirror of this band down here. So a lot more to come. I think we got one more slide. And there we have a step fret band. Pretty common. And we have some little crocodile creatures here. So I sincerely apologize for my bronchitis. I've had it for 4 months. I've been under intensive care in the hospital. And I'm sorry that there's no way to stop my coughing. So I'll be glad to answer questions. And I hope that you have seen some things you have not seen before. And again, I don't identify each one because there's a lot more study that needs to be done. And for every band that I showed you, there obviously are a lot more bands that need to be found in order to identify what I showed you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hellmuth. There haven't been too many questions posted yet, so everyone please get some questions in. But David makes a remark about the ear markings may represent blood vessels.
That's a good question. And again, we need to be open to things like that because, see, nobody's ever suggested that. But we definitely need to be open to those. In other words, we call those, the corkscrew, squiggle, the whatever, the Kaban, the earth thing. But yeah, it may be something completely different. And that's why it helps to have independent concepts brought up like he's suggesting right there. Because they're very common in ears.
I was thinking too about the disembodied eyeballs, and maybe that's sort of a form of torture that we aren't aware of. Rather, we're aware of the removing of the heart, which would kill a person, but the removing of the eyes would not kill them, but just leave them without being able to live whatever they were doing in their former life. What do you think about the disembodied eyes? And I mean, imagine a skull rack, not the carved ones, but we know that Spanish talked about that there were some skull racks of real skulls at the time. But I would imagine as a skull is deteriorating, if you walked by that skull rack, one thing you would notice would be disembodied eyes. It must have some kind of extra meaning.
Yeah, well, see, we have to look at the classic Maya as pyramids, ball court structures, corbelled arches. Disembodied eyes are a major aspect.
All right, we've got some questions coming in. Could the Ed and Birno want to know, could the circle with a squiggle be a germinating seed?
Well, that's a good idea. That's a good question and a good idea. And again, by having different people come up with different ideas, and then we need a student to do a thesis or a dissertation, or a professor to do a report and work all that out. That's extremely helpful.
No. And Marilee says she's read somewhere that the squiggle question mark meant thunder, a loud sound.
Okay, that I'd have to look up in some of the dictionaries of hieroglyphs. But you keep in mind, every squiggle comes in, so there's so many that some could be thunder, some could be lightning, some could be this, some could be a seed, some could be that.
Yeah, it was the one in the ears.
Yeah. No, your comments are extremely helpful.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and David is commenting about what do you think is symbolized by the cross symbol in the sky band? Some have hypothesized it represent the bent sticks over an altar table from the four corners. If so, what did they think was really in the sky?
Oh boy. I have an inventory, a catalog of sky bands, probably one of the biggest in the Maya world, because again, our illustrators, we're doing illustrations of things that have never been published before. But what I'm doing is I'm simply making a catalog. I'm not yet into deciding the meaning of each individual thing, because that's going to require a whole separate catalog.
Okay. And as I mentioned earlier to you, I think the crossbands, especially when we see so much of the ecliptic with the double-headed serpent bars, or I mean, the king standing there being carved in stone was representing a center of creation and recreation, that the sky bands represent the crossing of where the ecliptic, the pathway of